Так, ну что же, всех с Нудосиком, с вами Антосик, у нас вновь Genshin Impact, Genshin Инфаркт. Продолжаем страдать херней. Я тут это сразу быстренько, пока не забыл. Давайте откроем две херни вот этих, которые тут нужно, чтобы я и потом не путался, что их по 10 опять надо открывать. Раз выпадает хуйня какая-то бесполезная. И сейчас второй раз откроем тут... блядь, ну... Допустим, окей, похер. И второй раз открываем, тоже падает бесполезная хуйня. Вот. После чего пооткрываем, наверное, если успеем еще. Хотя я уже сомневаюсь, что успею что-либо открыть, поэтому похуй. Вот, дальше. Что по плану? У нас сегодня продолжаем сюжеточку. Я так, чтобы сразу не затягивать. А то я люблю вначале что-то затянуть, начать пиздеть, хер пойми о чем. Пошли проходить вот это вот все. Я не помню, на чем мы остановились, потому что там опять была очередная какая-то не пойми какая хуета. Вот, в общем, как обычно, мы страдали хер пойми чем, хер пойми зачем, и хрен пойми для чего. Но мы, собственно, продолжаем этой же хуйней заниматься, поэтому вот так вот, собственно. Так, секундочку, ну попиздавай. Тут была же сюжетка с этой, с Шэньхэ, это вот эта, короче, дура, которая... Ой, короче, хер с ней просто забить. Хер похер. Так, дайте я, блядь, сменю на кого-нибудь, кто не х каждые 5 секунд. Вот. Блядь, началось. Так, а чё мы сюда нахера вообще приперлись, вопрос?
Oh my god, I can't believe my eyes.
Точно, мы же там какой-то камень достали, эта ебанашка его сама отнесла.
She's gotta be one of those adepti, surely.
Oh, mighty Adeptus, please give me your blessing so that in the coming year I may reap a more bountiful salary.
This is top tier in size and quality, and the condition it's in is quite simply immaculate. Congratulations, this item is approved for submission. I'm going to award you full marks for the Sunset Vermilionite item. May I take your name?
My name isn't important. I'm not even here to compete. I was just delivering this for some other people. They should be here any minute now.
Shenhua, and Ningguang's little helper.
So you're the ones behind this. No wonder. The rarest talent turns in the rarest plastrite specimen. But I have to correct you on one point. It's not helper, it's secretary.
Okay then, Miss Secretary, what do you think of the rock we found? Pretty amazing, right?
In truth,
Да ёбаный шашлык, там, кстати, опять задержки, я заметил между вот этими диалогами, они сами не
if everything goes
протыкиваются.
according to plan, we will use this piece in the foundation of the Jade Chamber, which will enable us to proceed to the next stage of construction. As a side note, Lady Ningguang has
Блядь,
rented
к
some
следующему
dwellings
этапу
in
это
the nearby
получается не всё,
area
да?
to serve as accommodations for the contestants. If you need a place to rest, you are welcome to stay there. Now, please excuse me. As you can see, there is still a lot of work to do on the building site.
Shenhua, just now on the way over, pretty much everyone was singing your praises.
Oh, really?
What kind of reaction is that? So strange. Aren't you happy about it?
Вообще похуй, да?
Whenever Paimon gets praised, Paimon can't help but hold their head up high and break into a big smug smile.
I've had similar compliments before.
Так, я буду сам протыкивать
They
постоянно,
call me an
потому что
adeptus.
диалоги тут как-то
Treat me with
забаганы.
great
Хуйня
deference and
какая-то.
respect, as if I'm set apart from the common folk.
Yeah, 'cause that's how adepti are. At least the ones we've met are pretty unique and reclusive too. Way different than normal people.
Блять, я вспомнил шутку, а где трусы?
I am not...
Ладно,
Shenhua?
похуй.
I'm fine. I've been exerting myself quite a lot ever since we set foot in that abode. I'm just a little fatigued.
Well, Byron said that there are some makeshift hotels we can use, right? Let's go check in and take a rest.
No need. I simply need to find myself a secluded place in the wilderness to sit and meditate in silence.
You can't do that. It's dangerous out in the wild on your own. When you're hungry, you go eat something tasty.
Я
And
думаю,
when
если
you're
эта ебанашка
tired,
сама
you
камень
go lie
притащила,
down in
хер
a
знает
nice,
какой высоты, хер
comfy
знает
bed.
каких размеров и так
Alright?
далее, то я не думаю, что у него могут быть
Seriously,
проблемы
don't
какие-то.
punish yourself like this.
Угу. Да вообще похуй.
Okay.
У нас вариантов
If you
нет.
insist.
Я угораю тут с диалогов просто. Тут
Now we're
никогда
talking.
тебе вариант
Let's
не
head
дадут
to our
какой-нибудь
hotel.
ответить свой. Кроме когда мы рисовали рисунок Пайману. Вот это, да, был охуительный вариант, там один. Мне понравилась идея. А так, ну тут обычно вариация ноль. Это знаете, как сказать да или сказать да, но все же да. Вот. Ну, типа... Нахуя спрашиваю, это куда нам будет наверх, туда? Ладно, окей. Или не наверх, или вниз. Это куда вообще надо? Угу. Юань. У азиатов такие смешные названия иногда. Ну,
Hi there.
именно.
Checking in, are we? You're just in time. We only have 2 rooms left. Since this was chosen as the building site for the new Jade Chamber, we've had a constant stream of people in this area. And not just workers either. Visitors, business people,
Бля, я
tea
вот думаю,
sellers, all sorts.
если так подумать,
So, business is booming for me today.
Так легко
Very
никнеймы
few
придумывать.
vacancies. You're lucky you got here
NPC-шкам.
when you did.
вот давайте, вот я сейчас просто 2 рандомных
One of your
слова,
rooms is still being
каждый по 3
cleaned. I
буквы
guess it should be
состоящие.
ready within the hour.
И будет
The
это
other room
обязательно
is just at the
какая-нибудь
door on the
хуйня,
left.
которая звучит
Here are your
логично.
keys. All
Сейчас
right.
вот
Hope you
допиздят,
enjoy your stay.
я
Please
продолжу.
excuse me, I'll leave you to it.
Что-то там интересное, что-то
You should
будет
go get
хуйня.
some
Да.
rest. We'll hang around outside until the other room's ready. Paimon's gonna go see if there's anything good to eat around here. Paimon couldn't help but notice one of the guests walk in with a huge grilled chicken
А мне
drumstick
похуй.
before.
Опять жрачка.
Let's buy one for Shenhua too. She can have it as a midnight snack. Or save it for breakfast tomorrow.
All right. I will head to my room for now. If you need anything, don't hesitate to disturb me. I'm a light sleeper. I will hear if you knock on the door.
Ладно.
See you tomorrow.
Hey, isn't that Cloud Retainer? What's she doing here?
Цапля, уху. Нахуя только.
Let's go and say hi.
Конечно, опять ввязываться хер пойми во что. Почему бы и нет? Так вот, соедините 2 любых слова из 3 букв, и получится вам никнейм любого NPC. Какой-нибудь Лью Дзе, или какой-нибудь Нуа Ген. Я не знаю, блядь, серьезно, ну тут просто на изи. Али Хех. Вот видите, уже 3 варианта. Сразу придумал за 5 секунд. Тупо, блин, на изи. Похуй. А какие-нибудь чунхуи вообще это прям их любимое.
So, are you getting along quite well?
Да, нам похуй вообще.
So far, so good. Yeah. So, you know Shenhua too, Cloud Retainer?
Naturally. Save for Ganyu, who spends the majority of her time in Liyue Harbor. All the Adepti living today are acquainted with Shenhe to some degree.
Cool. So, what's her Adeptus name anyway? Calling her Shenhua feels kind of friendly, but also kind of disrespectful. So Paimon's thinking maybe it'd be better if we called her by her Adeptus name instead.
Шеньхы.
Her Adeptus name. Why, pray tell, would Shenhe have an Adeptus
Shenhe.
name?
Я не могу, блять, это пиздец.
Don't all Adepti have a special title they go by?
On this latter point, you are correct. However, Shenhe is human.
Oh, right. Wait, what?
Угу.
Paimon neither. This is a real surprise.
Do you mean to say that she presents differently from ordinary human beings?
Ну, типа, моделька отличается от обычных NPC.
To start with, her problem-solving methods are extremely direct.
Ah, yes. She was like this all those years ago when one first met her. In this respect, she has not changed. One first found Shenhe by chance in a cave. One was passing by and sensed the presence of a god's remains. Being of an ever-vigilant disposition, one entered immediately to inspect the scene. Inside was Shenhe, then aged around 6 years old. In her hand, she held a dagger with which she was confronting a monster that was the god's remains incarnate.
Блять, ёбаный цапля, почему ты так смешно выглядишь?
Sounds so
Сука, я не могу.
dangerous.
When one arrived, she had already been locked in confrontation
Вот
with this
спереди так,
monster
не,
for
такие
several
кадры,
days.
это прям пиздец.
Most mortal children are
Это на
fragile,
превьюшку.
both
Это
physically
по-другому
and
никак.
mentally, and are highly reliant on their parents for survival. But not so her.
Хорошо, Утка,
That
мы все
she was
поняли.
able to endure
Это-
such terrible danger was due not only to her strong willpower, but also to the bloodlust and homicidal instinct with which she was
Как
born.
интересно.
One dealt with the monster, yet she still refused to lower her guard. She even pointed her dagger in one's direction and remained ready to strike. Only after she was satisfied that one had no intention to cause her harm did she finally relent. She then passed out without uttering a single word.
Ну, короче, резня. Блин,
In
сука,
other
смешно
words,
так выглядит.
if you hadn't passed by that day, Shenhe might have...
Not necessarily. Upon one's arrival, one could sense that the god's wrath was gradually receding. Even had the stalemate continued, one suspects that Shenhe may have still emerged the victor of the confrontation.
That's still so dangerous, though. Why was a tiny little kid battling against the wrath of a god in the first place?
Alas, the mortal world is rife with suffering of every kind. And she had experienced her fair share of this, even at a tender age. Seeing that she was homeless, one decided to adopt her.
Значит, это была ёбаная утка, да?
Indeed, it is one to whom she refers. Shenhe has an extraordinary constitution, making her well adapted to practicing the Adepti arts. All the Adepti cherished her talents, and so we were willing to train her.
А можно
However,
не задержаться
her
на диалоге?
homicidal urges did not subside with age. Rather, they grew stronger day by day. Mooncarver once performed a divination for her. He declared that her fate is to bear the curse of calamity. Consumed by malevolent energy,
Секунду.
she is prone to bring harm to those around her. Such is the magnitude of the danger this poses,
Да-да-да, пафосно,
that her
пафосно,
soul
пафосно,
must be
страшно,
bound
страшно,
with red
страшно
ropes
пафосно.
to keep her homicidal instinct at bay.
Сейчас, секунду. Звук есть? А то все нормально.
The red ropes have indeed served to keep her calmer and more content. They also seem to have rendered her somewhat inexpressive.
Короче, похуй. Цапля. Утка.
It is only by fate that people's paths may cross. Now that Shenhe's path has crossed with yours, please be sure to treasure the gift that fate has given you, and take good care of her.
Oh, now Paimon gets it. You came out here to check up on Shenhe because you were worried about her, didn't you?
Huh. You dare draw such a facile conclusion on the nature of one's present excursion? Incorrect. The truth is that while Liyue Harbor may seem peaceful today, danger is always lurking in the shadows. Ningguang once made a bold assertion that this is to be the era of the contract between Liyue and the humans. Well, one is most curious to observe how she will respond to the coming storm. If she handles it admirably, one is willing to be a witness to her achievements. But if she does not, the Adepti shall not hesitate to seize control. Let us conclude our conversation here for today. One has occupied enough of your time, and night is approaching. Be sure to get ample rest.
Да вообще похуй. Так, ладно. Сутки поболтали. Теперь...
Shenhe isn't an adeptus after all. She just grew up around the Adepti. Oh, no wonder she doesn't like being treated as an adeptus. Having everyone falling over themselves to show their respect all the time must be kind of hard to deal with.
Так, с 8 до 12. Та-дам. Так, ну что, давай с тобой болтать. Опять.
Hey, so, Shenhe,
Master has relayed my situation to you, I take it?
Ну, как бы ты угадала.
how did you
Да.
know?
Ой, на самом деле похуй абсолютно.
I'd
прям
intended
поебать.
to wait until you came back before going to sleep, but I didn't hear you come in. I was worried that something may have happened to you, so I went outside to check and caught sight of my master. On top of this, you have been acting very strangely around me this morning, causing me to suspect that my master must have told you everything about me. After all, Master is... very talkative.
Sorry, Shenhe. Paimon had you down as an adeptus this whole time, but it turns out Paimon was wrong.
It's okay. I don't mind. The fault is mine for not explaining everything to you sooner, because in my experience, trying to explain is a futile pursuit. Still, though you mistook me for an adeptus, you never treated me as distant and unapproachable. Instead, you treated me as you would a friend. For this, I am very grateful indeed.
To be fair, we've met our fair share of real adepti, too. Anyway, now it's settled. From now on, you're our friend. Whether you're an adeptus or a human isn't the important thing. First and foremost, we're just plain old friends.
Got it. Although I don't know quite what it entails in terms of what I have to do, I must say I like the title friend very much indeed.
Great! Well, now that we're all rested up, we should start searching for the other 2 items on the list. But before we do that, let's go to the building site and ask Ningguang's little helper how the progress is going. After all, Sunset Vermilionite is so rare. Paimon doubts many competitors will really be able to find any. If it turns out some of them have given up already, we'll be able to take things a little more slowly. Oh, and another thing. We bought some grilled chicken drumsticks on the way back last night. There was a place just outside.
Так, ладно, допустим.
Here's one for you, Shenhe. Try it. They're so good.
Я просто заебался
I concur.
комментировать это все.
It has a rich flavor, far more agreeable than those I've cooked for myself in the wilderness in the past.
Ау. Куда упали-то?
Look, look! The Jade Chamber is floating into the sky!
А, да, серьезно?
But it seems to be tied down by something.
That's because it's not finished.
Hey, Bylin! And hey, Beto! And hey,
Это кто?
person Paimon doesn't know?
Given the enormous scale of the Jade Chamber, we split the construction work into 2 phases to make sure the structure remains balanced.
Блять, нам
Before we
еще
find
детали
some
надо искать,
suitable
я понял.
plastrite, we build the Jade Chamber's keel at ground level. Once the plastrite is ready, we place it into the keel and let the partially constructed jade chamber rise up to the height of the surrounding mountain peaks. The remainder of the construction work is then carried out at that altitude. Once everything is ready, we release the iron tethers and allow the jade chamber to rise to its target altitude.
Miss Bywin, we've brought some new materials to submit.
One moment, I'll be right there. The construction work has only been able to progress this rapidly thanks to the plastrite provided by you. Lady Ningguang is most grateful and looks forward to seeing more of your work.
Wow, can't believe you sourced the plastrite so quickly. It's the key piece of the puzzle. Looks like you beat us to the punch.
Beto, you're joining the Jade Chamber contest too?
Нахуя?
Sure am.
Главное, зачем?
I happened to get my hands on a chunk of sunset vermilionite on a voyage a while back, so I figured I'd bring it over.
So even though it's rare, we're not the only ones who managed to get a hold of it.
Oh, I've got some introductions to do. This is the renowned Miss Yoon, or Yoonjin, probably the most famous figure in the Liyue opera scene.
Да, а мне похуй.
Greetings.
А мне похуй.
These two are Paimon and the Traveler, both good buddies of mine. And this is... sorry, not sure we've met.
Shenhe. I am their friend.
Good to meet you. A friend of a friend is my friend too. Or, as I like to say, a mate of a crewmate is part of the crew.
Women.
Miss Yoon is also
Ладно,
here
блядь,
for the
похуй.
contest. Turns out she needed to borrow a boat, so
Страдаем,
we came
хуйня,
together.
юху.
It's an honor to finally meet you both. I've heard much about you. Miss Shenhe, though we are only meeting for the first time, I have a
Говорится,
feeling
два
that we will
дебила
get
это
along
сила, три
very well
дебила это
indeed.
мощь. Просто меня и
To be
Пайман
honest
можно
with
не
you all,
считать, хотя
I am in
Пайман тоже
great need of
просто.
this opportunity to ask Lady Ningguang a question. That's why I joined the contest. Thanks to my father's connections, I was able to acquire a specimen of the plastrite required. Fortunately, it was approved for submission, despite being a little on the diminutive side. Wow! So it looks like the three of us are competitors now! Excuse me for prying, Miss Shenhe, but are you competing as well?
No, I don't have any questions for Ningguang. I just wanted to help her win.
In that case, I have a proposal to make. Lady Ningguang said that the first 3 contestants to procure all 3 materials will be awarded the chance to ask a question. Well, there are 3 teams here. We can split the prize between us. Instead of competing against each other,
Блять,
we could work
задай
together
просто вопрос,
to
в чём,
secure the
сука,
top 3
проблема?
places between us. What do you think?
Это, наверное, самая
great,
хуёвая сделка из всех,
how does
которые
it
когда-либо
change
мы
things
могли вообще в
exactly?
этой игре сделать, потому что сделать, так скажем,
I think I see where you're
всякую
going with
работу
this, Miss Yoon.
за то, что
The
типа
plastrite was the most difficult
просто
item to
спрашиваешь
source by a
какие-то
long
вопросы.
shot.
Я пошлю
Luckily,
нахуй, потому
all
что
3
скажу,
of
что
us
нихуя не
managed to
знаю
get
про
our
твоего
hands on it.
брата, съебись.
The 2
тебе
remaining
ПК.
items aren't quite
Конечно,
so
да.
rare, so as long as one
Это
of us
классно.
finds a way to source it, the other 2 can hop on the bandwagon. How'd I do? Is that what you had in mind?
Precisely.
Huh. Interesting approach.
Okay then. All right, I'll go first. I have some leads on these wonder cores. From what I've heard, the core itself is really not that difficult to make. The hard part is getting hold of the ore used as raw materials. I'm gonna head back to the ship and ask Suling if he's heard of them. You guys...
We will head into town and seek advice from Master Zhang of Hanfeng's Ironmongers. Thoughts?
Ну, пошли.
Wonderful. We'll split into teams then, and whoever makes progress first brings all of us a step closer to victory. I'm gonna take off. See you later.
Okay, let's go!
Ну,
By the way, what question are you gonna ask Ningguang Yunjin? I'm looking for a venue to host the performance of our new opera. Lady Ningguang has excellent judgment, so I would like to hear her opinion. Ooh, what's the opera called? Paimon wants to go see it. The opera is a labor of love by my father. He wrote it based on a popular urban legend about an evil spirit and an adeptus. It's called The Divine Damsel of Devastation.
Так, получается, спросите, что-то я протупил. Джан это кто вообще? Джан. Это далеко? Это на телепорт, конечно, как же по-другому, без этого никуда. Угу. Ты кто? Подожди, стой. А, это, блядь, этот мужик, который на верстаке работает тут. Так, дружище.
Hello. Are you here for something off the shelf, or do you need something forged?
Ну, типа того.
Excuse me, Master Zhang. We were wondering if you'd heard of something called a Wonder Core.
Of course I have. Sorry, who's asking?
My name is Yunjin. Perhaps you don't know me, but I believe that you forged some weaponry for my father in the past for stage use.
Yunjin? Stage use? Oh, so you must be Miss Yoon. Sorry. My
Почему,
brain's
сука,
finally
даже
caught
какой-то
up.
челик, который, блядь, делает
Not
оружие,
used to doing
слышал,
much
а мы
beyond
нихуя не
bashing a hammer all
слышали.
day.
Как так вышло?
Everyone's heard of you, Miss Yoon. Even folks who don't make it to the opera all that often. Like myself.
Вот я как раз не
So,
слышал, почему.
you're here to ask about Wonder Cores, huh? As it happens, I do know how to make them. Matter of fact, I made some for Lady Ningguang back when she was building the original Jade Chamber. The types of ore needed to make Wonder Cores are a little hard to come by. Lady Ningguang supplied them herself last time. I don't suppose you've brought any yourselves?
No, we were gonna ask you what kinds of ore we need.
Гениально. Да, блядь, ну,
Sure.
пускай.
Well,
Нормально.
you'll need two kinds. Star Splinter Iron and Subrosium. If I remember correctly, Lady Ningguang sourced her Star Splinter Iron from the
Только
Mount
нас, получается, еще не
Tianhong area.
просто на одно
They say
что-то
it resonates
загонять,
with
будут сейчас
visions.
собирать, а на две сразу. Ладно, окей. Диалоги прям
It
очень
could take some
пропускаются, как-то
work,
непонятно.
but if you stick with it, you'll find some eventually. As for the Subrosium, though, that's trickier. It's all but unheard of on the market. I'm really not sure. Sorry. What I've heard is that the people around Mount Tianhong have some sort of magic trick that can pinpoint the location of the stuff. Of course, it's probably just hearsay. If you want my advice, start by looking for Star Splinter Iron around Mount Tianhong. And if you run into any locals, ask them a few questions about Subrosium.
Mount Tianhong.
Типа, если это
Interestingly
говорить, да,
enough,
конечно,
the story of the
несуще.
divine damsel of devastation also takes place on that mountain. I hear the view there is quite spectacular. A favorite destination of the Adepti, in fact. Perhaps it can give me some inspiration. Let's not delay. We should head straight there.
Так, получается... Пиздавали. Далеко? Далеко, там, по-моему, далеко. Не, ну туда я точно пешком не пойду. Ну нахуй. Так, это куда нам надо? Это нам сюда.
I came to Mount Tianhong once with my father as a child. I remember it being such a long climb that I could
Вам не
barely
кажется
feel my
стрёмной
legs by
затеей
the time
идти
we
из хер
reached the
пойми
top?
кем, кого только вы узнали?
This is quite a trip down memory lane for me. Look at these majestic towering peaks and the gently flowing streams. It's like setting foot in paradise. No wonder the legend of the divine damsel of devastation is said to have taken place here. Adepti wander oft where mortals seldom stride. Indeed, this looks like a place that one might expect to be frequented by Adepti. The Divine Damsel of Devastation is your upcoming opera, right? And the story takes place in Mount Tianheng. Huh. Seems like you have a real connection with this place. What's the story about, though?
It's the story of a girl becoming a hero.
Cool. A hero story? They're Paimon's favorite.
The legend first arose in this area. It is said that there used to be a prosperous village on the mountain. In that village, there was a loving couple who were completely devoted to one another. One day, a terrifying monster appeared.
Откуда, блядь?
The wife was out collecting herbs and was captured by the monster. Her husband was so distraught at the news that it broke his spirit and drove him to madness. The vile and vicious monster told the villagers, "If you want to live, you must sacrifice a child to me."
What a nasty piece of work! Paimon sure hopes this monster gets put in its place!
But the monster was so terrible and so strong that all within the village were terrified of it. They had no choice but to give in to the monster's demand.
Ну
Just
ладно.
while they were discussing whose child would be given over to the monster, a little girl suddenly stood up and came forward.
А, ну все понятно, все, уже пазл сложился. Что, чего, как? Да.
Unbeknownst to anybody else, she was concealing an
Вот,
exorcist
ну, все
blade.
понятно, все понятно. Да,
She
это прям
approached the monster's
совпадение
lair,
такое несогласие. Нам
feigning fear
эту
and
историю начали
trepidation.
рассказывать, бла-бла-бла, вся
When she
хуйня.
finally arrived, she courageously drew her sword and entered into a fierce struggle with the monster, from which she eventually emerged as the victor. Her extraordinary abilities drew the attention of the Adepti, and they took her as one of their own. Her story became the stuff of legends. But alas, the paths of mortals and Adepti
Ты,
seldom
главное,
cross,
постарайся
and
больше
she would
диалогов, чем
never
в КЦ не
again
делать, а
re-enter
то
the
это будет
mortal
перебор.
world. And so, destined to grace the mortal realm for but a brief moment, she vanished like a wisp of smoke into thin air.
Ну, давайте посмотрим,
That's how the opera ends.
хы, ты прикинь, тут про тебя
I
история
really like
рассказывают.
this story,
А, да? Ну ладно. А сказать то, что это ты, нет?
but I personally think that perhaps the little girl was not as brave as the opera makes her out to be. I'm not sure she deserves all the praise she is given.
I've never considered that before. Opera is always an interpretation of the events it purports to portray. A certain degree of deviation from the truth is always inevitable. When my father wrote the script for this play, I suppose his intention was to inspire his audience with the character of the Divine Damsel.
Как же мне
I think it's a great story. The ideal story.
Well, it sure inspired Paimon! Let's go get ourselves some Star Splinter Iron! Yeah!
Ну, в принципе-то что остается делать? Пошли. Это... А, ну, искать надо. Ой, бабочка. Вот это, получается, нам нужно здесь прям найти. Стоп, это как? С помощью... А, ну, я понял. Окей. Я так уберу. Так, на всякий случай. С помощью... Это что такое? Не, ну это не похоже на то, что... С помощью этой... Так... По-моему, я ни хера не... Нет, стоп, это... Нет. А если руду сколько с помощью... Ну, блядь, а где? Как? Чего? Опа. Так, это раз. Почему эта херня мне не помогает? Музыка еще такая странная пошла. А, вот вижу.
our splinter iron.
Почему?
Now we just need to find that Subrosium.
I think I saw a village on our way here. Master Zhong said we should ask the locals for help. Why don't we try there?
Пошли, пошли. И кого будем расспрашивать, допрашивать, допрос устраивать, а? Опять какого-то деда. Ну что за хуйня?
Hey, there really is someone here.
Какой-то дед.
Yunjin, looks like you were right. Excuse us, sir. Can we ask you something?
Он спит. Не спит, проснулся.
He didn't seem to catch that.
Ну, как
Hello,
бы да.
sir. We were just passing by and wanted to ask if you happen to know anything about Subrosium.
Блять. Знаете, это как челики, которые стоят около метро, листовки раздают. Вот так же, знаете, типа, ну вот вы извините, вы тут вопросе. Ответьте, а челик такой, пошел нахуй.
Let's have a look around.
Ну окей.
Sorry, you can go ahead without me. I'd like to have a word with this gentleman. If that's okay with you, Uncle Mingjin.
It's...
А ты что, ебанулся, что ли?
Shinho. You're alive. The rumors were true. So, all these years? I'm sorry, I don't know how to find Subrosium. But I think you can find some information in the village.
Okay.
This place is deserted now. No one ever comes here. So you can rummage around all you want.
Huh? You know this guy, Shinhua?
Thank you, kind sir. We'll go and take a look around.
Какой-то дед.
Don't worry. Mingjin has no ill intention towards Miss Shenhe. She'll be quite safe.
Okay.
Ладно.
Then let's see what we can find in this village.
Какая-то странная это ваша шеньхы. Защите оставшиеся в деревне за записи. Где, блядь, записи? Пускай. На карте что-то рукой отмечено. Может это подобрать? Опа. Ага, мне даже сказать, что... Так, что-то потребный дневник, какая-то хуйня. Варя сказала, что ты тяжело болеешь, не волнуйся, я отдам все, что у меня есть, чтобы спасти тебя. Мое сердце отбивает скрою на всякий раз, когда я вижу, что что-то там. Ты сказала, что ни о чем не жалеешь. Так, чтобы я позаботился о женихе. Ага, божественно, так, ага, мне очень жаль, любимая. Короче, у Шаньхэ мать сдохла, походу, да? Ну, пиздец, ну, типа, сделай вид, что грустно. Окей, бывает.
Shenhe is the divine damsel?
А может, я не успел, я быстро бегал, попытался понять, но, по-моему, я нихуя не понял. Но если так, то да.
So that's why I've been getting the strangest feeling whenever I chat with her. I should have noticed it earlier. According to this text, the divine damsel from the opera was actually the daughter of the loving couple. And she didn't volunteer. She was sacrificed to the monster by her own father.
Заебись, история, класс.
The truth is even more lamentable than the opera. Now I understand why Shenhe said the girl was not as brave as people think. It wasn't her choice to enter that ghastly situation. She was forced into it. Oh, it looks like my father may need to make a few revisions to his beloved opera.
Ну, пиздец, вон тайны какие разузнаем. В принципе, можно было и догадаться, конечно, но да ладно. Вот. Отыщите оставшиеся в деревне за... А, еще что-то, подожди. Ну, давай, вот еще, вижу. А сколько их тут всего-то? Ой, бля, не, я читать не буду. Нет, ладно, семья.
So it seems that Shenhe's father thought he was summoning a benevolent deity using a magic incantation. But in fact, he summoned an evil god's remains, which took the form of a monster. His obsessive yearning for his deceased wife led to a terrible tragedy. The villagers moved away in fear, without ever learning the truth. And
А все
now,
просто свалили.
this place is
Класс.
deserted.
Класс, хороший способ
Still,
бороться со всякой
I
хуйней.
do wonder what the connection is between Shenhe and Mingjun.
Мгм.
We've looked everywhere, but still no mention of Subrosium.
Батька.
Let's have a look over there.
Да, Пайман сказал еще раз. Ну, то РЗР это, конечно, хорошо. А куда именно, я не понял, честно говоря. Надо было повнимательнее прислушиваться. Так, сейчас еще раз. Ой. Это сквозь это. А у меня хоть какая-то область помечена? Что? Здесь же где-то. Ну да, здесь может быть. Да. Ну давай еще одну записку. Горные беседы, магические знаки, что-то там. Легенды гласят, что вы можете найти Субрози, если станете посреди озера, Клю от горы Тяньхэн на закате. Короче, понятно. Хер пойми, как надо встать где-то в Мухосранске, чтобы что-то сработало. Заебись. Ладно, разберемся.
Let's go back and tell Shenhua the news.
А вот этим мы, наверное, как раз займемся в следующем видосе, потому что надо заканчивать уже, а то как бы видос не хочу затягивать. Да и я уже не собранный пиздец, сука, полусонный, полуёбнутый, поэтому похуй. Короче, как-то так вот. Давайте на следующем видосе продолжим. Всем спасибо за просмотр, с вами Молодосик, до следующего видоса. И всем вот так вот. Ну, короче, сюжетка, не знаю, пока скучно. Как-то какая-то хуйня происходит, что мы обсуждаем какую-то херь. Ну, вот так вот выходит. Все, до следующего видоса. И всем пока.